Hi, everybody. Thank you, 80s model. That's right. It's the first live stream of the week, the last of 2024, actually. So let me gift some memberships as well. We haven't had a live stream for 2 weeks, so I'll do 10 memberships to celebrate. So I thank you all of you for your patience. There we go. Welcome back, Freddie. Thank you, Emilio. So, yes, it's so nice to see everybody. Happy birthday, Mr. Magic. It's good to be back. I had a very nice family vacation. Thank you for your patience. Know that, Mr. Andrews, there won't be a stream for New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, but I am planning to stream Thursday and Friday. So we will have our 3 streams of the week still. But yes. So things are back in full swing. Oh, thank you, Not Modern Art History. That's extremely generous of you. And I'm hoping to have a video up tomorrow. I filmed it. I'm going to try and edit it today. We're slowly getting back up to speed. I have a lot of stuff planned for the end of the year. Thank you, Cat Shack. And I'm very happy to say that we have 3 fantastic stories to discuss. Thank you, Michael. Oh, wow, you guys, you're so generous. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Thomas, I'm so glad that you've been enjoying being a member. I'm sorry that my vacation coincided with your gifted membership, but the more you interact with this channel, if you've been a member in the past, if you subscribe, if you comment, if you like videos, you are going to be more likely to get a membership gifted to you when someone is so generous. So keep up those interactions. And you too could get a gifted membership. All right, so we're going to discuss, thank you, Nathan. I'm really glad to be back. So we have 3 fantastic stories to go over. Please try to keep your questions and comments to the stories at hand. At the end of each section, I'll open it up to your questions and comments. And then at the very end, as always, we'll do a 10-minute Ask Me Anything. So if you want to ask me something that's off topic, that's the place to do it. All right. Hey, Seb. All right, everybody. So let's get going. We got a lot to discuss. Okay. So story number 1. All right. So boop. All right. So here are the chapter times. I've got an arrow already. Now, as you can see, I've divided it up into the good and the bad because I'm not quite sure how to feel. I think that this is one that really does go right down the middle in terms of good and bad. I'm not sure if I would have done it. It's hard to tell. Let me do a poll. I know you guys like a good poll. Poll. Would you bring back Jason Momoa as Lobo for the DCU? Heck yeah. No way. And then I'm not sure. I guess we'll do a 4th of I don't care. Just if you want to be extra Scroogey, as I can see that J. Jonah Jameson wants to be. That's funny, with Zeke saying that James Gunn is doing Twitter fan casting. I want to be fair about it. I think Zack Snyder was a little guilty of that as well. You can't do fan casting. You're supposed to be a professional project. But I got to tell you, I feel like maybe it's okay. So will you guys vote? I'm going to discuss the good and the bad, okay? So, the good. I mean, it is perfect casting. I mean, he is Lobo. He doesn't have to be a great actor. I see some of you questioning Jason Momoa's acting abilities. Who cares? He doesn't have to act because that is him. He is the character. I've never seen, it's an extremely strong match of personality and character. And also, it's a dream come true for Jason Momoa. He really wants to do it. So you know he's going to work very hard. He's going to put his heart into it. And he's going to promote it like crazy. And I mean, there's just something nice about seeing someone get their heart's desire and having their dream come true. It's like he got the golden ticket. And so you're like, how can you can't, it's hard to be upset about someone having their deepest, greatest dream come true. I mean, Jason Momoa is even a fan. So you're like, you've made him so happy, you know? So, I don't know if it's going to work out from a business perspective, but it's hard, you really can't hate on someone having like their wishes come true. So that's one element. Then the other thing is that Jason Momoa has an extremely good relationship with Warner Brothers. And in fact, just the other day, I saw the Minecraft trailer again in front of Sonic 3, which I'm going to be doing a mini review of later in the stream. And I have to say that I thought that Jason Momoa was doing a really good job in the trailer. Jack Black too. And I was like, for all the hate these guys get, they really commit to the projects that they commit to. They don't like take the money and then like not deliver, right? We've seen a lot of actors do that. They take the money but then they just slog through the project. And you're like, if you weren't going to do it for real, why did you bother? But I think he looks really funny in the movie. I think it's funny like the way like he's like doing the shovel, movement like a video game character. I mean, I think it's, I think his heart's really in it, and I have to respect that. So that's a Warner Brothers movie. He's also, of course, Aquaman, which we'll be talking about. And he was even in Dune, where he was pretty good in Dune. I liked him a lot in Dune. Daniel says, what are Lobo's powers? His powers are sass. He's just a space biker guy. He's super strong and has a lot of attitude, and so he's a character that can go toe-to-toe with Superman. That's basically what Lobo is, right? As Lloyd says, he's a space biker. There's nothing more to it. It's not complicated. It's not complex. That's just what he is. And he will be back for Dune Messiah. That's right, Wanda's attorney. I think Jason Momoa without his facial hair is like hypnotic. You're like, who's that? Oh my God, he looks the same but totally different. So Warner Brothers, and they're very, they get along very well with Jason Momoa. He is glowing. I would agree with that, not modern art history. He looks fantastic. All right, then another element that I think is important is that it gives a strong male character to the Supergirl movie. We've been talking about that. Female-led movies do well when there is a strong male character in the film in addition. The first Captain Marvel had Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson. Wonder Woman has had Chris Pine. I think, and we've seen many, many instances of that. And I think it's really important. So I think that maybe might be a good way to maybe balance out the movie. So it's not just Millie Alcock as Supergirl. That's right, Psycho. Barbie had Ken. That was crucial that Barbie had Ken. And I think we've seen a couple of movies not do that, like Madam Web or The Marvels, as many of you are pointing out, and it didn't work out for them. So I think having a strong male character will benefit this film. Now, for all of you asking, no, Lobo is not in the comic book that is being adapted. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, this is somewhat comics accurate. James Gunn will be able to pull a comic book out of his butt and say, oh, look, there is a one comic where Supergirl and Lobo teamed up and they had a lot of good fun. So, you have to say, this is true. They did have a comic book together. I mean, they don't have a long, rich history. Okay, I was also able to find this little image where Lobo and evil Supergirl, when she's, taken over by Darkseid, they teamed up a little bit. I have to say, they do kind of work together, I mean, look, he's a space biker. Putting him next to a hot blonde, I think kind of works, right? You're like, Supergirl would be Cat, you would say she'd be catnip, but that's a good point that Nofix is bringing up. There's quite the age difference between Jason Momoa and Millie Alcock, not just actually, but I think visually. I think Millie Alcock looks substantially younger than she actually is. So you'd be like, come on, Lobo. I hope Lobo asks her for some identification. So there is a history of these two characters, being together in the comics. All right. However, he's not a character. That's a good segue to the bad. All right? So, Moana and Maui, Damon, is a pretty good comparison. Maybe James Gunn saw Moana 2, or at least looked at the poster. Oh, Jason Momoa is 45. Good for him. and he said, look at Maui and Moana, everybody's eating that up with a spoon. I could do the same thing. And, to some degree, he kind of is. So that's like, if I was in the room, that would be yet another reason where I was like, well, that's a pretty good idea. All right, so so we're still somewhere in the middle here on the bad, okay? So, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is really a three-hander, okay? It's got Supergirl, Ruthie, who they've also cast, Ruthie and Supergirl, and then they're hunting Krem of the Yellow Hill. He's the toxic guy played by Matthias Schoenaerts. So, Lobo is a new addition to this story, and he's going to cheapen it, but at the same time, I don't think this story as is can be adapted. I think he's going to cheapen the story. I think it's going to make it hit a little less harder. I think it takes away from some agency away from Supergirl. Supergirl is very much the typical male hero in this story. It's a revenge story told from the perspective of two female characters, which was quite powerful in the comic. But it's not going to work in a movie with today's audiences. It's just not going to work. The Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow would have been a better streaming show than it would be a movie. So it's gonna hurt the integrity of the comic, but I think from a business perspective, I don't see any other way forward. But that's going to be a little bit of an issue, I think, with some people. Maybe, there might be some criticism of it for those purposes. All right, now full on to the bad. Okay. He's Aquaman. And he didn't significantly change his look for Aquaman. Like when he was Aquaman, he looked and acted like Lobo wearing Aquaman's costume. So it's not like, it's the same actor, but he's totally different. He's a chameleon. I think there will be casuals who go, isn't that Aquaman? And they'll be like, no, now it's Lobo. Stay on top of it. And they're going to be like, you guys are ridiculous. It's not doing comic book fans any favors. Emilio says, can the makeup make a difference? No, he's just going to be painted white with smoky eyes, which is kind of how Jason Momoa looks all the time anyway, to be honest with you. That's funny, Zeke. It is Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. But that's a multiverse situation. I don't think they're doing a multiverse situation here. Hey, Dancing Dog 60, thank you. So I think it's a little confusing. And also, let's not forget that the last Aquaman was a horrible box office failure. So that's not great either. And then also, some people have pointed out he was in James Gunn's very project, Peacemaker Season 1, as Aquaman. So, but I do think that's partially what has helped him stick around. James Gunn is very friends and family oriented, and Jason Momoa was one of the only actors who would do a cameo in Peacemaker, which I think was very helpful to James Gunn and getting him to take over the DC universe. So, James Gunn's not going to forget that. And as a reward, he has made all of Jason Momoa's dreams come true. I have to say, Mike, it does seem like more DC shenanigans. And that's a good way to bring up the next point. And that's is this really a new cinematic universe? It doesn't seem like a new cinematic universe at all. It seems like it's just under new management. And I think that it might, hey, Danny, it might even be better management. That's very possible. Thanks, John. Thank you, John. That's very sweet of you. I think that it's not going to clear the plate. It's not going to clear the table and give us the fresh start that we were hoping for. And I think that DC will probably continue to be plagued by the problems it's always been plagued by. And that concerns me a little bit. I think part of the reason that people were so interested in the Superman trailer was because of the drama, and that could translate to box office. It could. But, people were very interested in The Flash and really wanted to discuss The Flash. That first trailer for The Flash did extremely well, and then the movie fell on its face. So you just don't know. You don't know until you see it. But I do think that this doesn't feel like new at all. It feels like the same DC as before, even starting with Superman again. It's not a fresh start. It seems like a restart. And that is something that concerns me. There's no discipline. There's no we're starting again. We're starting a new, we're not starting again. We're starting a new cinematic universe. And I think that should have been, the situation. They should have taken a break, and then they should have started fresh. But they're not doing it. And I think that opportunity has now passed us. So we just have to see what happens. I think we really have just traded Zack Snyder for James Gunn. I think they're very similar, right down to the sometimes questionable choices, and also really, really, really devoted fan bases that kind of skew the perspective when it's on social media, but then don't show up at the theaters. James Gunn, outside of his Guardians of the Galaxy movies, has not been successful. Someone's like, let's clip that and send it to James Gunn. And then, I don't think he's going to interact with me again, thank goodness. But, every time I point out a factual thing, he gets upset about it. But I mean, look at the box office. Look at the box office for the Suicide Squad. Sure, it came out during the pandemic, but other movies released at the same time did better. Look at the other smaller things that he's done. So, I think he's not a proven commodity outside of those Guardians movies. So, I mean, we'll see. But I think he is very Zack Snyder coded. I think partially unintentionally, partially intentionally. Because, I think Zack Snyder got a huge blow up out of DC. Even the drama, I think, made him like a bigger name. And so I think, James Gunn's like, yoink, well, I could do that. And look at Sockley. Gunn is vastly superior to Snyder. Well, the box office will decide. But I think, in my opinion, they're almost exactly the same. But let's see if that is also in the box office. So let's see what happens. Let's see. I think they both have their bad habits, and they both have their really strong elements. But I think it's just again, as I said, it's a restart, not a fresh start. Kay Walton, James Gunn's not more successful than Zack Snyder at the box office. Zack Snyder, look at Batman v Superman and how well 300 did and all that stuff. Boy, I gotta tell you, James Gunn's fans, you guys are like, you're more aggressive. Let's just say more aggressive than even Snyder fans. And that's saying something. Woo! And you got a lot of free time, I must say. Okay. Yes, I would agree, Resident Justice. Rebel Moon was a real problem. It was a real speed bump for Zack Snyder. Okay. Then, also, let's point out, okay, Jason Momoa's box office. I gotta do it. I'm a numbers person. You know I am. Woo! Look at this. These are not great. Let me get my arrow. I'll be back. I'm back here. Okay, hold on. All right, here's my arrow. Okay, so he's got $1 billion picture with Aquaman, and nobody understands how that quite happened. He was in Dune, but he wasn't a driving force there. Fast X, this is actually soft for Fast X. And he was basically playing Lobo there as well, by the way. So that's a little bit, nerve-wracking. Was it Jason Momoa? Was it too much Fast and Furious? Nobody knows for sure. Aquaman, 433 is not bad until you see what this was and also how expensive this was. But look at that domestic box office. Jason Momoa is very popular overseas, so that's nice for him. Look at these overseas, the worldwide versus the domestic. Look at this, below 30%. That's incredible. Okay, so maybe he'll help Supergirl overseas, and he hasn't done a lot. Conan the Barbarian, not great at all, obviously. He hasn't had much of a career until Zack Snyder plucked him out of nowhere as a surprise casting for Aquaman. But, so, I think, let me close the poll. Let me see what you guys voted on. Okay, a lot of votes. All right, so 41% of you think it's a great idea to cast him as Lobo. 19% don't care. 19% think it's a bad idea. Oh, so the rest of it is 60, and then everything else was divided up. So 40% of you think it's a great idea, and then the rest of you are evenly divided between I don't care, no way, and I'm not sure. But still, that's six. That sounds about right for DC. 40% love it, 60%, have mixed feelings on it. All right, so does anybody have any questions or thoughts about this one before we move to the next story? Mr. Andrews says, so what's the overall conclusion? I think it's not a great idea, is my conclusion, but I think that James Gunn already has made mistakes, so why not? I think he's already stumbled out of the gate. I think Creature Commandos wasn't a good start. I think he has a bad situation where Pattinson is not involved in there. I mean, hopefully maybe they can fix that. The fact that the Batman, I feel very bad that the Batman Part 2 is taking a long time to come back. It's a personal reason that there's a delay, and it's very sad. Choose the Bear. I see that Creature Commandos got renewed, but so did Dune Prophecy. I mean, we'll see what the ratings are. I think I got to tell you, maybe the ratings are great for Creature Commandos, but if you think that Warner Brothers wasn't going to renew the signature project of the new head of DC, which was first out of the gate, so that they started with a show that failed, the show is so cheap, of course they're going to renew it. But we haven't seen the ratings yet, to be fair. But yeah. And so my question, though, would be like, maybe Matt Reeves produces the Batman Part 2. Maybe he doesn't direct it, so he can focus on his personal things. I mean, that's a very tough call from a business perspective. I'm glad it's not my decision to make. I feel bad that Warner Brothers and, to be fair, James Gunn have to make that call. But they've chosen to just keep delaying the film. It's a tough call. It's a really tough call. Nacho says, when will we get Margot Robbie back? I don't think she's going to come back. Maybe a long time down the road someday. I think, Margot Robbie's on her quest to get an Oscar at this point. And good for her. She's already made copious amounts of cash as Barbie. She will forever be famous as Barbie. I think she and James Gunn have a good relationship, so I could see her maybe doing a cameo. But I think it's someone else's time to shine in that role. Lisa says, at least James Gunn isn't messing with the Harley Quinn show. I know. I have my screeners. I'm so excited to watch it. Ho, ho, ho. I think that show should be binged. I think weekly for these animated shows is stupid. Box of Wolves says, Zach's movies since Batman v Superman are all sequel setups and universes that lead nowhere. James Gunn is a better storyteller. Not a Stan thing, but efficiency matters and he is efficient. But you don't know that. I mean, you're just making that up because you have no examples of it. I mean, I'm not saying it's not true, but it has not been proven yet. I see I missed something, I think. Did I miss that? Oh, yes. Smooth Jay says, since he got fired from Marvel, critics and press have been giving Gunn a pass, and it seems like they overinflate his scores. No one I know likes the Suicide Squad. You say that no one you know likes the Suicide Squad, Creature Commandos. I don't know. I think that James Gunn is very similar to a number of people really identify with the type of person that he is, and I think that has benefited him substantially. But I don't know how much he fits with mainstream audiences. I think that remains to be seen. I mean, Kevin Feige really held him back for Guardians. I liked Guardians 3 a lot, and I really liked the Christmas special, and I thought 2 was solid. I think some of you just want me to hate James Gunn. I thought I was so fair in my trailer breakdown, and some people were like, you just want to hate James Gunn. And I'm like, I don't think you watch this video, actually. Okay. Chandler Crumlin, it's not appropriate to share someone's personal information. I saw some people say it was just because he was getting a divorce. That's not what I heard. I heard it was a much more serious situation than that. Let's see here. I gotta tell you, the DC continues to just have so many issues, and I feel bad. It's like I don't even want to talk about it that much because it's real life. It's one thing to talk about people's careers, but when their personal lives start coming into play, then it becomes like you're just like, let's just take a step back. You know? Bobby's like, Gunn respects the source material. Snyder doesn't. I sure hope you guys buy a lot of tickets. I hope you see these movies copious amounts of times. I think that James Gunn does respect the source material, but the issue is what version of it. I think he's very Bronze Silver Agey. Let's see here. Dan says the Batman delay is the worst thing for DC. 5 years between films is way too long. Comparable, it is way too long. It's a problem. I mean, think about how much older Robert Pattinson is going to be, and the whole thing was he was a young Batman. It's definitely an issue. It's definitely an issue. But I mean, I think they find themselves in an impossible situation. Like an impossible situation. I told you, I honestly, the only thing I could think of is I'd be like, you know what? As I said, maybe you don't direct the Batman 2, but you still, because he still was able to do the Penguin, maybe you produce it and it's still in your world. You know, because I think it is detrimental to the project to have to wait so long. Thanks, Lucas. Hey, Platinum Diva. Let's see here. Hey, Phil from BTT Focus Group. Thank you. You know, it's interesting that you say that Superman, the trailer, reminded you of Force Awakens. That was a movie that I honestly, at the beginning, you know, when I came out, I was critical of it. And a lot of people were like, don't be ridiculous. And I was like, it's just a New Hope. They just redid A New Hope. Exactly. It was so stupid. And who lets Harrison Ford decide what happens to his character? And then eventually everybody came around to agreeing with me. So it's hard sometimes, you know, but I always try and keep it real even when it's hard to do so. I mean, I'm just saying my opinion, man. Some of you perceive it as my saying your opinion. Nope, it's my opinion. Okay. All right, I think we're ready to go to the next story. All right, I see a couple of you ready to boop. All right, so let me clear the board. All right, so story number 2. This is very interesting. Boop. All right, so Christopher Nolan. Oh, I have one image up here. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Ooh, let's bring up the cast here. Thank you, Devon. All right, there's the cast. Ooh. All right, so I got to tell you, I'm actually pretty excited about this movie. As you know, I go back and forth on Nolan. Although I do think he always delivers good spectacle. I mean, I would certainly always see a Nolan movie in theaters and try and see it in IMAX or a premium screen. Box of Wolves, that's the last story. We're moved on to the new one. We're on to the new one. So, I mean, efficiency in terms of not stretching stories, it should have been one and done. But again, Box of Wolves, you can certainly say that's how you feel it's going to go with James Gunn, but you have no idea because it hasn't happened yet. Hey, JD. All right. Yes, that's right, Wanda's attorney. I think that's a very interesting thing to say. It is pretty amazing that a lot of people have not read The Odyssey. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But that was a very surprising thing to come out of this. All right, so just like Robert Downey Jr., now that Christopher Nolan has his Oscar, he's going back to blockbusters, baby. All right, so he's making what Universal has described as an epic, globe-trotting IMAX blockbuster. Woohoo, you sold me on it. I'm excited. And he's decided to adapt The Odyssey. Now, like Wanda's attorney, I was very surprised that so many people had never heard of The Odyssey. As Dakota just pointed out, she read it in high school. I read it in high school. The Odyssey is, for the most part, it used to be required reading in high school. It's a high school staple. Just like you read Shakespeare, you read the Iliad. All right, so let's do a poll. Have you read The Odyssey? I got to tell you, if you're not reading it for school, it's a tough thing to read. It's basically like a big poem. So you might be like, I better read the Odyssey before I see the movie. And then you'll be like, maybe I won't. Okay. Have you read? Like, this thing has been around for so long. I remember, like, they did a take on it in DuckTales, for Pete's sake. I mean, the Odyssey is in a lot of things. Okay. Yes. In high school. Yes. In college. Yes. On my own time. And then no. Oh, by the way, just as a reminder, anyone can vote in a poll. You don't have to be a member to vote in a poll. All right, so, yeah, Ramanzilla, if this has been removed from the syllabus, that would be just a shame. I mean, it's again, as I said, it's an education staple. You're supposed to graduate high school having read the Odyssey. Juan Carlos says he needs to be faithful to the original. Well, let's see. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it, okay? All right, so I think this is actually a wonderful choice for him. When I heard it, I was like, oh, he's cooking with gas. Let's go. I mean, this was like, as someone who's not a huge Nolanite, I was like, he's really picked a fantastic project for himself there. Look at this. Ethan is a high school English teacher who still teaches the Odyssey. Says, I was shocked by the number of people saying they never heard of it. Oh, yes, The Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell. Yeah, this is like a staple. It's crazy that people have not read it. Look, No is winning the poll right now. That's amazing. All right. I like that other people remember the DuckTales reference. It's hilarious. Okay. But it's a little Zack Snyder-y. You feel it's a little 300 maybe. It's a little DC with Circe. We're going to talk about that. Greek gods, a little Wonder Woman-y. And then also, it's very male-friendly, which is, of course, Nolan's sweet spot. He has a lot of male fans. They're his driving engine of his fandom. He's very much in the male psyche, which is, like, I think, like, it just couldn't be perfect for him, more perfect for him. Another interesting element to it, though, is it has a lot of fantasy elements. So I wondered, Christopher Nolan has never made a big VFX movie. So I wonder if this is going to be a big VFX film. That, to me, I'm glad you read it, Danny. That, to me, is very interesting if he's finally going to work with VFX. Like, for instance, Circe turns men into pigs. Let's see how he can sell that to his male audience. Oh, hilarious. All right, so anyway, is Christopher Nolan going to cut away and then have a bunch of pigs run into the frame and be like, it was Circe. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. But he's never worked with VFX to that degree yet. So I'll be curious to see if he does this time. Then also, Circe. Circe, of course, many of you know her as a Wonder Woman villain. But she, of course, is the villain in the Odyssey. She's a huge character. And, of course, we're all wondering who here is going to play Circe. Like, part of me thinks it would be Charlize Theron. But I feel like she already played that role a bunch of times. With the evil queen and stuff like that in Furiosa. But, she's good at it. So I'd be curious to see if, I think Anne Hathaway might be a really good Circe as well. I think there's a chance that it could be Anne Hathaway. I don't think it's Zendaya. I'd be surprised if it was Zendaya, to be honest with you. I think that it's going to be probably Anne Hathaway. You guys say Anne Hathaway being Penelope. Let's discuss this, okay? But I think that Anne Hathaway or Charlize Theron would be my choice for Circe. All right, then I do have to wonder. This is a Greek Roman sandals epic, right? But look at this cast. This is a very Nolan-y cast, I'd be really surprised if this was like. It's hard to be like, this is my Greek epic cast. So it makes me wonder if maybe he would change the setting and or time period. Because the story is about a soldier coming home from war and being delayed by Circe and the Greek gods. So that, to me, makes me feel it could be a soldier coming home from any time period. It could be from any war, just a soldier trying to get home. So, Nolan, to me, I don't know if Nolan wants to do that. All right? Yeah, Wanda's Attorney, I think World War II would be really, really in Nolan's ballpark. Or even a modern, current conflict. All right, so the main characters, I had always thought that maybe Tom Holland and Matt Damon were playing the same character, younger and older versions. However, the main character is Odysseus, the Odyssey, and then his son. His son is a major character. I bet you that Matt Damon is the lead. I bet that Matt Damon is Odysseus, and that Tom Holland plays his son, as Ben 10 pointed out, Telemaque. So I bet that those are your two leads, the soldier and his son. And so that would be Matt Damon and Tom Holland. That's excellent casting. Excellent, excellent casting. Official Liam says a mythological epic, but it could be a modern mythological epic. The Greek gods would still be around today, but they'd just be dealing with current characters, maybe. Like American Gods, as Newswriter just pointed out. Neil Gaiman, that's very Nolan-y. I could totally see that. All right, so he's finally going to have a lot of female characters. I hope he gets them right this time. All right, so it's interesting. I didn't even think about, there's a character somebody just mentioned. Calypso. Box of Wolves says Lupita for Calypso. I was just thinking about Penelope, Odysseus' wife, Circe, and also the goddess Athena. But, you have 4 female actresses here, so maybe one of them is indeed Calypso. So I would guess that Charlize Theron is actually Penelope, Matt Damon's wife. That, to me, makes more sense. I think that's a good matchup. And then to me, I think Zendaya would be a great Athena. I think she'd be very strong as Athena, honestly. I also think that Lupita Nyong'o would be a great Athena. So let's see who they go with. But these are all great roles. These are all very strong female roles. So that's pretty exciting. So I think that, it's a lot of female characters, and I think he's cast really compelling actresses. Nacho Flores, Anne Hathaway is Penelope? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a boring role for her, and I think I don't know. I think she could work with Matt Damon. They could go either direction with that. Anne Hathaway would be a great Athena. It's interesting that they're actually all they're interchangeable in how good they would be for all the different roles. Then I have to wonder who Robert Pattinson is playing. Zeus and Poseidon are major characters here. I don't think that Robert Pattinson would be Zeus. He could be. Are the gods forever young? That could be a different take on it. But I also think Pattinson could maybe be Poseidon. That would be very interesting. Blood of Zeus on Netflix, the animated series, recently did a wonderful job with Greek gods and kind of like a modern approach-ish to like the storytelling. But I think that's very strong. I also think July 17th release date. He's not going to move. This sounds like a great summer blockbuster. On IMAX, Spider-Man should get out of this movie's way. And that's how strong this is. That you're like, Spider-Man 4, you better move. You're in danger, girl. Like, it's that strong. This cast doing The Odyssey, I think slightly modern. I gotta tell you, I don't think I would do a classic telling of The Odyssey with no Greek actors in it. And with the way, I don't know, Nolan can get away with an awful lot. And people are extremely defensive of him. His fans are also very aggressive. But I think that if you do The Odyssey as a retelling, American Gods style, Neil Gaiman-y, then I think, then you're starting to really have something special here. And also I just don't see Nolan doing a period film like that. I don't see him doing like a film that's that dated. He's never done a period piece, right? That's outside of the 20th century. Oh, let me close the poll. Thank you, Mr. Andrews. All right, let's see who's read The Odyssey. All right, 47% of you have never read it. Oh my goodness, maybe it's only an American school thing? 38% of you read it in high school, 10% of you read it on your own time, and 3% of you read it in college. That's tough. Right, Loiso? I think American Gods style, some of you are hating on it, but I'm like, my goodness, this is exciting. So we'll see what happens. Spider-Man should definitely move. I think this is very strong. I think this, if done right, has the possibility of being maybe like as big as Batman for Nolan. Ludwig Göransson just signed on to do the score. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this? Fritz, the Prestige, though, was still in the 1900s. Hey, Tiki. Thanks for joining. MM92 says, hey, Grace, how would you recommend Nolan have better approaches to female characters? I think he should have a female writer, or some guys can do a good job writing women. Greg Rucka is one of the best writers of female characters in comics. But I just think he needs someone to come in there and do a pass for his female characters. There's no shame in that. Just come through, even just to give notes to help him rewrite it and be like, I think this could be, worked a little bit better. Buck's Basement says, unfortunately, Grace, nowadays a lot of the staples from the 9th to 12th from the 2000s is banned. Oh, the Odyssey. To Kill a the Odyssey is banned? 1984? That's crazy. That's right, Box of Wolves. Spidey sense, yeah, he's in danger. He will move. Nicholas says, the Odyssey should be a series. It's just too long. Oh, yes. Hello to you in Greece. Oh, my goodness. I think it's not going to be a problem because I think it's going to be an adaptation of the Odyssey. I don't think it's not like Shogun. He's not going to do an adaptation, a direct adaptation. I think he's going to do the Odyssey, his version of it. Yeah, and CM, it's going to be a long movie. It's going to be 3 hours for sure. Oh, Dane, you're going to go to Greece. That should be a wonderful trip. Mr. Andrew says, do you see this as an awards contender? Probably not. Oh, J. Jonah Jameson. That's so rare for you to be generous. Thank you for gifting some memberships. But I don't think it needs to be. Nolan just won 2 Oscars. He's good. Joe says, can't wait to see how Nolan tells it out of order. I hope we can hear all the dialogue as well. I hope the sound mix is okay. J. Jonah Jameson, your secret of generosity is safe with me and everybody on the stream. Yes, that's right, Baba. It is a little bit like Sinbad, the animated movie. You too, Kelsey. All right, I think you guys don't have any other questions or comments about this. Also, by the way, once you win an Oscar, your material is always considered kind of Oscar qualifier. So if this is at all good, it might get like Best Picture noms. It could get some nominations. All right, third story. Here we go. All right. Boom, baby. My review of Sonic 3. Let's see here. I don't think it's going to be set in space, Lone Wolf Media, because they said it's going to be shot all over the Earth. Although maybe it's like different planets. I don't think he should do space. The space works for the Odyssey, though. But then I don't know how you'd have the gods of Poseidon. Would they be like space gods? That maybe is a little bit too much, but let's see. All right, let's talk about Sonic. Let me get my arrow here. I thought Sonic was good, but not great, I'm sorry to say. I feel bad. I know a lot of you are really excited about it. Okay. Now, I'm really glad that I went to see it in the theaters with an audience. It was a small audience. I saw it a week and a half after it came out because I was traveling. But I thought it was so sweet that there's a big moment at the end of the film when Sonic and Shadow are side by side. No spoilers. But Sonic and Shadow are side by side, and it's a real cool moment. And someone in the back of my theater yelled, "Oh my God!" And it just made me so happy, and I was like, oh, look at the joy it's given that individual. There's no spoilers in this. And so I thought that was really sweet. It made me feel really nice about the project. So I was like, they brought joy to that Sonic fan. I think it was a genuine oh my God. And so I thought that was really nice. Tagaitai, I don't know if that was you, but I like that you're saying it is. All right, Shadow. I was surprised how little Shadow was in the movie. Everybody was talking about Shadow. Everybody was saying this is Shadow's time to shine and how much they love the character. He only picked up one gun that they put in the trailer. I was like, oh man, I thought he'd do more because they played him up so much. He was not in the movie that much and didn't do that much. I liked him, but I thought they could have had more Shadow. Also, let's talk about Shadow and Maria. I'm having a little bit of a Super Mario Brothers moment here. Now, I have learned from the Super Mario experience, this is just my take on it, but I don't really know if Shadow and Maria should have been hanging out together so much. I was, because Shadow, very much was adult coded. It wasn't like two kids hanging out. I'm glad Maria was such a kind person and that she was helping Shadow and making him have a better life. But they didn't need to, I don't know. I'd be like, I think you guys could have magical times together with adult supervision. It was nice that she would help Shadow and they bonded, but they didn't need to watch movies together, cozying up in her room. Why not in the commissary with everybody else? So that's all. I just, Benjamin says, what about Lilo and Stitch? Thank you very much. Well, Stitch is, I don't know. He's not like an adult guy. I don't think. He doesn't come across that way. He comes across more like a pet who can talk. But, I don't know. There was just something about it. Okay. That's just, as someone who doesn't play the games and hasn't watched any Sonic animation, I just, that was just, I was like, I think this, I have a little bit of an issue with it. Okay. Let's see here. I hope, I'm just saying. All right, so what's next? Jim Carrey. He really saved this movie for me. I thought he was hilarious. I loved him playing himself and his grandfather. I thought the dance sequence that he had was amazing. He was just, every time he was on screen, he was a jolt of energy. He was the Sonic quill that I licked whenever he came on screen. I went, la, 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 and it made me so happy. I just thought he was so funny. Hey, Matthew. I thought, and it reminded me that he still got it. He's still a great performer. I think he still levels up roles that he's in. He still also is able to deliver a lot of heart to his roles. I thought, he really gave me the feels a couple of times. He just, to me, does so much for these films and in making them accessible to me, who doesn't play the games. I watch these movies largely for Jim Carrey. I also like Knuckles. I like Knuckles a lot. I think he's very funny. Idris Elba does a great job with the character. But yeah, double the villains, double the fun, as they say in the trailer. I really liked Jim Carrey a lot here. I wish that he worked more. Then the writing. I thought the writing was very clever. I really think, by the way, Akiva Goldsman, no, not Akiva, Akiva Schaffer? Who is the guy from Lonely Island? He has the cameo at the beginning of the movie, and I loved that. I thought that was really fun. I was like, oh, I see you, Sonic 3. You're that kind of movie. That's right, Dagaitai Konnichiwa is like my favorite line in the trailers that they've shown, and I wish they had more of that. I thought that the trailers made the movie seem more fun than it actually is. I was like, this is going to be a party! And then I got there and I was like, this movie's just extremely sad. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I thought the writing was Akiva Schaffer, thank you. I thought that the writing was extremely strong, very good jokes. They made me laugh out loud a couple of times. I loved all the pop culture references. I thought they did a really, really nice job. So I thought the writing was quite strong. It made me realize how much I miss Kristen Ritter. I thought she was great here. She looked phenomenal. She was not playing, although I have to say, when they did tease a female Sonic-y character coming soon, and as a female viewer, I was like, finally, a girl space alien character. Thank goodness. The Green Lantern reference, Obed, that was phenomenal. But yeah, I would have liked more Kristen Ritter, Dory, and I felt that her role didn't really go anywhere when it had the potential to. So that was a little frustrating, but she was fantastic. I was like, Kristen Ritter, I've missed you in my content. So she was great. Then, as I said, the movie was surprisingly serious. I was like, man, this movie is so serious. I couldn't believe they actually had characters die. No spoilers as to who. And I was like, this is extremely sad. And, Shadow, and I was like, I'm just trying to have a nice time, man. I didn't need to feel Shadow's pain as intensely as I did. I was like, it's a family kids movie. You're sad, that's enough. I don't need to have it explained to me and to feel the sadness as well. So, I didn't love that element of the movie. I mean, I was happy for the fandom that the source material was being taken so seriously and respected. But as someone coming to it from the outside, it wasn't what I wanted from a Sonic movie. Then also, for a movie that took itself so seriously, I did think it felt kind of small in scale, you know? Walt Disney does kill off a lot of parents as well, but it's usually done pretty early in the film, and it's not something that they focus on for like the entirety of the movie. I was like, oh man, you know, like, we're still talking about this. So I thought that it was a little small in scale. Considering how seriously it took itself, I think it should have felt a little bit bigger. You know, like, I'm like, why isn't this, you know, like, it's serious in the way the story is told, but it presents itself as a middle of the road family film. I was like, if we're gonna go for this, let's go for it, right? You know, CM, Rocket Raccoon and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is an interesting comparison. But because I think that was live action and because it was a big Marvel movie, you know, that worked a little bit more for me, I think. Also, it was the third movie with that character. Although for some people, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was too sad, to be fair. And that's a fair criticism. That's right, Marvel does seem more adult. You know, these are such cute little cartoon characters. Having them talk about such serious subject matters was like a little jarring for me. So as for my overall thoughts for the movie, I think it's a wonderful Valentine for the fans. I think I'm really glad that the Sonic fans got something that they like so much and that delivers exactly what they wanted. I think that's really nice. I do think, though, from the perspective of someone who's not a Sonic fan, I enjoyed Sonic 2 more. Jim Carrey was what made this movie for me, Jim Carrey and Knuckles. I felt like I would see another Sonic, but I would want it to go in a little bit of a lighter direction. And I wanted to have a little bit more fun and to have a little bit more happening. This was, you know, it just wasn't enough for me, you know? So that's how I felt. I mean, I was really happy to see Jim Carrey. I respected the movie. But it did, and I acknowledge that it gives the fans what they want, but it didn't give me what I was hoping to get, not only out of a Sonic movie, but what it seemed like they promised in the trailers. All right, so any questions or comments about this? Yes, Tika Sumpter actually has a pretty good role. Nathan, I'm so glad you had a good time. I haven't seen Mufasa. I have no interest in seeing Mufasa. It's too late for me to see it from a business perspective for my work, and I personally have no interest in watching it. Nacho, Keanu's role was so small that I felt kind of bad about it. You know, I expected more Shadow. Classic Bunny Librarian, I'm so glad that you enjoyed the movie. I think for Sonic fans, it's probably an incredible experience. Jim Carrey better come back for Sonic 4. They haven't actually greenlit Sonic 4, I don't think, but they really certainly set it up. Rosho says, what do you think of the franchise overall? Seems like a decent mid-tier franchise for Sony to keep pumping out. This is actually Paramount, I believe. Yes, Paramount. But yeah, I think mid-tier is a perfect description of it. I wish the budget hadn't gone up as much as it did for this entry. Oh, they did greenlight Sonic 4? Oh, that's great. I was traveling, so I didn't see the headline. That's great. I would definitely keep making these. It also created a Knuckles show for Paramount Plus, which did pretty good. So I think it's fabulous. I would make sure I kept that budget under $100 million. And I think that, you know, fans love them. And I think it's a nice part of the current video game Hollywood renaissance. To Guy Tai, I wouldn't be surprised at all that Shadow would get his own spinoff. In fact, I hope that he does. He needs more to do. Phil says, what do you think Jim Carrey should do next in his career, especially seeing as how he's now eager to work? I'd love a new Grinch, but I wouldn't do it as motion capture. I would do it with the makeup. I'd just find a way. But I'd love to see him come back to the Grinch. I'd just like to see Jim Carrey do whatever interests Jim Carrey. You know, if he wants to do something new, great. I think he's a really strong actor. Oh, TJ, have fun at Wicked. I'm glad you said hi. No, Guy Ty, Jim Carrey he needs more money, so he's willing to do other work. He doesn't have to, but he's open to it. Hey, EB the Blue. All right, I think we're ready for the Q&A. All right. I don't think he's broke, Dory, but I think he probably, it's hard, I think he has a couple of issues. Sometimes the money disappears. CM says, Lily Rose Depp is Elizabeth Salander for the Prime Video series. I know some of you really like Lily Rose Depp. I'm not a huge fan. I don't think she has the charisma to be the lead on anything. I would be reluctant to do that. Oh, it's my pleasure, Guy Ty. I hope you're not disappointed that I didn't love it as much as you. 80s Model says, Happy New Year, Grace. Thank you for all the amazing content in 2024. Excited for what's to come in 2025. Thank you, 80s Model. Thank you for being such a big part of this community and such a generous member. Jonah says, is it too much to ask or not too personal? Can we talk a little bit about your recent travels? I went to London. My family, it was a tough time to travel, but my family really wanted to experience London at Christmas. Living in New York, we get all those, New York is a famous Christmas city, but with Charles Dickens and the holiday and stuff like that, we thought it would be really neat to see what London did. And I have to say, London did not disappoint. London really does a great job with Christmas. So I was in London for a week, and I went to see Charles Dickens' home in London and his writing desk, which they moved there from his country home, but I still saw it. What else did I do? I went to Fortnum and Mason, which was like Christmas Town. It was incredible. I went to Harrods. I went to see Starlight Express, which I had seen as a child. They have a fantastic production in the UK. It's like an hour's drive from London, though. Whew, it was like in the middle of nowhere, it seemed. But it was an incredible show. I got some great t-shirts, actually, and I got the soundtrack. And it's the same production designer as Back to the Future. So if you're in the UK, if you're in the London vicinity, go see Starlight Express. It's such a good show. What else did I do? I drove through the Cotswolds, which was really surprisingly difficult the day the Superman trailer dropped. And I couldn't really react because my phone was the only one that was working for GPS. So it was being used for directions. And so it was really surreal being like, the Superman trailer, and then having to give my phone over for driving. And I was like, I guess I'll react to it a couple of hours later, man. And we just, we ate at some really wonderful restaurants. A Peppa Portion or something for brunch. We really had a good time. And then for Christmas itself, we were at Disneyland Paris, which is always fun and beautiful. We took the Eurostar train, which was really cool. Oh, I went to Harry Potter. I went to see, I got outvoted. Nobody wanted to do the studio tour because we didn't have time. But I went to the train station where they have the 9 3/4 place. And I also saw Paddington Station and the Paddington Bear statue. So I did that. I did a whole lot of really cool stuff. And that's one of the reasons, some of you are like, why can't you just step aside and do a trailer reaction and breakdown? And the thing is it's two reasons. So first off, it would be disrespectful to my family members who work so hard to plan the vacation. When my family goes on vacation, and I love this about our vacations, but it's crazy, we don't have a lot of downtime. It's like being on a tour. So everything is meticulously planned from morning till night. And so I'd have to opt out of things, and also, things happen that you wouldn't expect, I went to the Tower of London, and I did the gunpowder plot experience. It's a virtual reality, kind of half virtual reality, half actors, and it has Tom Felton from the Harry Potter movies in it. But then little things happen that I hadn't anticipated, and I would miss out on those magical moments if I wasn't there. So I wanted to be respectful of my family and the plans that they had made, not only because I love them, but because they made great plans and I didn't want to miss anything. And then also I'm trying to be more present. I'm on social media a lot when I'm working, but I feel like if I'm watching a movie for the evening for dinner, or if I'm going on vacation, or if I'm going out with friends or family for the evening, I'm trying to be on my phone less. And especially a couple of times while I was on my trip, a family member of mine would be on their phone. And I was like, oh, is this what it's like to be on the other side of it? This is no fun. So I really wanted to be present, for the trip and to interact and be with my family members and just spend time with them. And so that's something I'm just trying to do more in general now. And I feel bad that it came during a week where so much was happening, but I was only gone for 11 days. And I'm back now and back to working a whole lot. And so thank you for everybody who was understanding of that. All right, I'm a little behind now because that took a long time to talk about. Let's see here. All right. So CT says, Grace, have you ever heard about Robert Eggers directing Labyrinth? Is this even true? I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know if that's a good choice for him. I don't know how maybe adults would like it because they grew up on it maybe to some degree. Hey, Steven, thank you for gifting a membership. Benjamin, I would be nervous about Barbie 2 after Joker 2 and Gladiator 2, I gotta say. Hamish says, Movie Math asked what's next for Eggers. How about a horror-focused Christmas Carol with Willem Dafoe as Scrooge? That's actually not a bad idea. I kind of like that. I don't know if I'd do Willem Dafoe as Scrooge. He could be in there somewhere, but that's a fun idea. I don't know if he'd want to repeat himself, though. I loved England Adams Fair. Everybody was so nice. Really, really kind. I also did the Winter Wonderland, and I went to Circus Berserk, which was like really cool and amazing. But Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park, and I did that, and that was really fun. I don't even know if it's still going after Christmas. Aided Buffalo says, it's my birthday. I was gifted a trip to New York at the end of January. Wow, any recommendations? What a nice birthday gift. Everything that's in the movies is fun to do in real life. You want to do Central Park. You want to do Rockefeller Center. You want to shop Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue. If not Christmas, I don't know if you need to do Macy's. But Macy's is really cool to see. They have the original escalators from when the store first opened, like wooden escalators. They have a couple of them left. It's really neat. You want to do all our museums. Our museums are incredible. Statue of Liberty, obviously. Ellis Island. I think you'll have a really nice time. Thanks to Guy Ty. I'm glad you were okay with my review. Hey, Seuss. Hey, Seuss says, hey, Grace, I missed you so much. Any new ideas for the channel in 2025? I'm glad you like my Nosferatu outfit. I'll try to keep coming up with cool outfits. Oh, happy birthday, Elise. I'm glad you had a good birthday on the 22nd. Sorry I missed it. So let's see here. We'll do some new stuff in 2025. We're going to do something new for the Golden Globes on Sunday. So I'm excited about that. And then also we'll do more BTT focus groups. We'll have one in January. So I'm so glad so many other people like London at Christmas. Everybody, they really decorate it beautifully. That's right, Kareem. Starlight Express is Andrew Lloyd Webber's roller skating musical. It's really great. Oh, Michael has seen Starlight Express. Gold Searcher says, what's your opinion in the trouble that Pixar is in now? I haven't heard any trouble. Really? I hope not. Oh, Jen, I didn't get to do a high tea at Harrods, but I did eat at the Fortnum and Mason ice cream parlor. It makes me so happy to see so many other people having Starlight Express memories. I kind of hope they'll bring it to the United States because it was so strong. Dream says, happy holidays, Grace. Thoughts on Sadie Sink being the frontrunner for Jean Grey? I think she's a great choice. I don't want the X-Men to be kids, but I mean, if that's the direction they're going to go in, I guess we'll be fine with it. Gabe the Canuck says, hey, Grace, I just want to show you my appreciation for your dedication to keep this space so pure for fun when everything is getting ruined by politics nowadays. My pleasure. I try really hard, I think it's important to be positive in life. Oh, I'm really behind here. Just Blaze Disney. Disneyland Paris is lovely. I think it's really great. I love visiting, I've only been to Disneyland, Disney World, and Disneyland Paris, but I like how every park feels so different. Let's see here. You guys, thank you guys for all being so nice and supporting and understanding. Nathan says, did you prefer Barbenheimer or Glicked? Also, what's going to be the 2025 version? I'm not sure if they have a 2025 version just yet. I think they were both fun. Barbenheimer, though, was the first one. It was amazing. Both movies made $1 billion or close. So that was really still really. I don't think Gladiator hit hard enough to make a true Barbenheimer, but I think it's a fun idea. Jonah, that's right. I had just had a cold before I left from my vacation. I was so nervous I was going to be sick on vacation. But I got to tell you, that thing cleared up right before I left. I did movie math. That's why movie math was early that Sunday. Some of you were like, I sure like having movie math early. And I was like, I couldn't include some stuff because the story was still developing as I was doing movie math. It's hard to get movie math up that early and get the whole thing in. But I did movie math on the 15th, and then I drove to the airport and got on a plane and flew the red eye to London. Let's see here. Greg says, hi, Grace. Happy New Year. I finally got, oh, you got your blue diamond. Oh, congratulations. That means 2 years. Yay. Let's see here. Lucas says, have you had a chance to watch the new Spider-Man Disney Plus cartoon trailer? They changed the ethnicity of Norman and Harry Osborn. Should they do so in the movies too? Well, let's see how it's received on the animated series. Although I must say that animated series made absolutely no noise yesterday when that trailer dropped. And it was a Spider-Man trailer. I don't think that's going to work out so well for Disney. But we'll see. Hopefully it just gets totally ignored and not hated on. Baba, I didn't really watch What If, but I did see some of the clips, and I saw Storm. She looked amazing. I'm very excited for Storm in live action done right. Oh, thank you, Jose. The movie nerd says, Grace, my super chat is too long. Will you read it not as a super? Well, how long is it if it can't make it into the super chat? Let's see here. Adams here says, I'm confused why Dune Prophecies was renewed for season 2 when it hasn't made the Nielsen top 10 yet. We haven't. When did it premiere? I think we haven't caught up to it yet. Oh no, it started November 17th. Well, I gotta say, a lot of I think part of it is not embarrassing the Dune franchise, maybe. I mean, let's see how it does the rest of the episodes, but it is a conundrum. I agree with you. CM says, Ayo Adabiri or Stephanie Shu as Sonic 3 characters. I'd like to see both of them do a little bit more than that, to be honest with you. Nat So High says, did your ears pop on the Eurostar train? If they did, I didn't realize it. I think some of my family members had their ears pop, but I didn't feel that way. It was really fun, though. Surprisingly fast. And I had no idea when we were in the tunnel. They were like, my phone said, you have entered France. And I was like, when? I thought it would be very clear when I was in the tunnel. Let's see here. Kevin says, hey, Grace, when do the top shows of 2024 videos dropping? Hopefully tomorrow. Oh, I hope I didn't just jinx it. Hey, Warren Peace, thank you for gifting a membership. Poke, I think yes, Disney Plus has too much stuff on it. It ruins the interface. Elliot says, lots happened to him this month. He's an award-winning journalist now. Huzzah! Graduated community college with his arts and humanities degree. Turned 26 on December 26th. And went to medieval times and got knighted. Oh, Elliot, that sounds like a wonderful birthday. I'm so happy. I'm glad you had a great time. That's so awesome. Talk about positivity. 2025 is going to be a great year for you. I can feel it. Mark says, what are your thoughts on Amazon creating James Bond spin-offs? I'm okay with it. Let's see what they are. Michael says, New York is nice, but it's no Chicago. Look at Michael defending his hometown. I've never been to Chicago. Hopefully someday. I would like, one of my favorite Christmas movies takes place there, Fred Claus. And so I would love to see some of the locations in person. All right, let me do a couple of last questions, then I gotta go. Okay. Dan, Scotland do Christmas well as well? That's awesome. Hi. Oh, hey, Heinz the Adventurer says, hi, Grace. What's your opinion on the future of how Doomsday will play out? Many actors may make it convoluted. Are you talking about like Superman Doomsday? I don't know. They've never gotten it right. But, these stories have been told for so long now, I think it's hard to maybe go back. Sensation. I would love to go to Tokyo Disneyland someday. It's on my list. That's like a really long flight, right? AJ says they follow one of the kids that are performing in Starlight Express in London right now. That's great. Very talented cast. Diego says, hi, Grace. Thank you for all that you do. Wishing you and the BTT community the best in 2025. We're going to have a great time. We're going to have another great year. Hey, Heinz the Adventures. I'm glad you just made it. Bye, Zeke. Let's see here. Stephen loved Dune Prophecy. That's great. Lucas says, sorry to do 2 questions, but did you watch Landman? I did not, I'm afraid, but my family does. As a longtime viewer, I bet your dad would love it. Yeah, my dad, I don't know if my mom really likes it, and I have some other family members who really like it. And I've heard great things about it. I just haven't gotten a chance to watch it. Midnight Eye, I haven't seen any drones, thank goodness. I hope you have a Merry Christmas as well, and a prosperous New Year. Mr. Andrew says, do you think the Odyssey would benefit from the counter-programming of a female-centric film? I don't know. It depends how masculine the movie is. This one seems pretty well balanced to me. Oh, Pacific Coast High Gay. That's fantastic. That's a very funny username, and thank you for the memberships. Stalin Falcon, I have not had any Marmite. Isn't that like some kind of chocolate thing? I've not had any of that. I had some Nutella though. Box of Wolves, I think Nielsen's only North America. I'm not sure 100%. And Kareem, I haven't watched The Agency yet. Isaac, I wouldn't say I'm a Trixie and Katya fan, but I do respect them, and I do know. I didn't know of Trixie. I'd seen her on that episode of English Teacher. I thought she was very funny. I'm new to Katya, but I saw a lot of very nice comments about her in the comment section of that video. Briz, have a great time watching Nosferatu on Thursday. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Oh, Avengers Doomsday. I don't know. Let's see how, I'm nervous to see how it turns out. Oh, Obed, Happy New Year to you too. That's very kind of you. And Box of Wolves, thank you for gifting a membership. All right, I better get going. Thank you so much for joining me for the last live stream of 2024. There should be a video tomorrow, and then I'll see you in 2025. Happy New Year, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye.